Hello, welcome to English for Everyone, where we practice real-life American English. Today we're going to learn some important pronunciations, so let's get started. Today we're learning these two words. These are the only two words that I have found in English that end with CION. And guess what? They have different pronunciations. That's right. In these two words, CION is pronounced differently. Let's take a closer look. First, let's look at this word, suspicion. In this word, the C is pronounced with the sh sound, like in fish or wish. Sh, sh. There's no voice. It's a soft sound. Sh, sh. Together, suspicion. Suspicion. The first syllable, the U, is pronounced with the short sound, like cup and up. Suspicion. The second syllable is the short I, like this is. I. Together, suspicion. And the last vowel is a closed sound. Un. Together, suspicion. Suspicion is the noun, and suspect is the verb.
He made everyone think that it was Mary so they wouldn't suspect him.
I understand why you suspect me, Hannah. And I don't care.
I was really scared that you would suspect me of murder.
Police suspect her assailant was probably hiding in the back seat.
Well, if they suspect her son, they should try him.
Well, maybe you can tell us why you suspect her.
We've been investigating Calloway for a couple of years now, and we suspect him of being an agent.
You think the cops suspect me of killing Richie?
Why do you suspect me? What have I done?
Example, she suspects that her boyfriend is cheating on her, so she looks at his phone, and her suspicions were confirmed when she saw him texting another woman.
And now her suspicions are confirmed.
He is wanted on suspicion of the murder of Anthony Castellino and for ordering gang members to put a hit on the only known witness to the Castellino murder.
Tell you what, we're just going to go ahead and book you on suspicion of the murder of Gary Hinman.
You know, I have my suspicions about Margaret.
What are you doing? I've stolen my stuff! Sean Preacher, I'm arresting you on suspicion of the murder of Carol Teray and Fiona Hutchinson.
He was picked up on suspicion of armed robbery. Now get this.
You're under arrest on suspicion of the felony of kidnapping.
Hunt.
You've long held suspicions that Lark was an American agent.
I have my suspicions about a young Amish man who visited last week.
I got a suspicion he might not be what he says he is.
There's a lot of suspicion and hate.
Messrs. Havemeyer, Potter, and Jameson are placed on probation for suspicion of ungentlemanly conduct.
Suspicions abound that Kennedy is soft on communism.
Take this one in and book him on suspicion of murder.
Again, her suspicions. We're using suspicion in a plural form. Suspicions. Her suspicions were confirmed when she saw him texting another woman. So the idea again? She suspected that her boyfriend was cheating on her. And her suspicions were confirmed when she saw him texting another woman. Let's practice. Did she suspect that her boyfriend was cheating on her? That's right, she suspected that her boyfriend was cheating on her. And were her suspicions confirmed when she saw him texting another woman? That's right, her suspicions were confirmed when she saw him texting another woman. Very good. Now let's look at this word, coercion. We see CION again, but it's making a different sound. It's not making the sh sound like in fish and wish. It's making the zh sound like in vision or decision. It's the same position as sh, like wish and fish, sh, sh. But you make a voice, you make vibration. Make vibration here. Zh. That's the sound we want. Zh, zhun, vision, decision. And now we have coercion. Now, if you look in a dictionary, they'll have two pronunciations, but I have never heard the other one used. I've only heard this pronunciation used with the zh sound. So it's coercion. The first vowel is a long O, like no and go, co. Then you have the sound, like in burger. When we link these two vowels, there's a sound in the middle. It's a w sound, like a W, linking the vowels. Coer. Coercion. Coercion. Put the stress on the second syllable. Coercion. Coercion is a noun and coerce is the verb. Coerce is a verb similar to intimidate or threaten. You intimidate someone and you make them do what you want them to do. That's coercion.
And he only told you what he told you because you coerced him.
And I think perhaps she was coerced in some way to go with me. Though I can't think in what way.
However, Mr. Stamphill cannot coerce you into testifying against yourself.
How I coerced him into robbing those banks.
Apparently, Tono coerced Tanner into smuggling some guns, and Tanner can't deliver the shipment.
Blackwood coerced you into that damn place. Forced you into lewd behavior.
That's not true.
The facts are unimportant.
I coerced her to have sex with me.
We were coerced into a date.
You coerced him by trying to send him to jail for Pollock's murder.
If they coerced you in any way to sign this piece of paper, we can challenge them legally.
Were you coerced in any way to participate in this project? No.
If I walked them in the court with the drugs in their hand, you say they were coerced.
I only said that to coerce you.
Kanisha, did Brian ever coerce you or pay you to talk to him?
None of the parties were coerced into signing this agreement.
They made you as in they coerced you?
Example, the police intimidated the suspect. The police threatened the suspect. So I can use the noun coercion.
Assault? Coercion?
There's bullying and there's coercion.
I have therefore signed the statement of my own accord, without coercion of any kind.
Somehow coercion just no longer existed.
Therefore, we conclude that extreme coercion is necessary to motivate you.
Coercion of one witness to give false testimony in order to free another.
It is the systematic coercion of one group of men over another.
On one hand, Reuben Carter has submitted a document alleging racial prejudice, coercion of testimony, and withholding of evidence.
And the only contracts that were signed between Mr. Chavez Union and a few wineries that signed up under the coercion of his threats.
I could say the police intimidated the suspect, or the police threatened the suspect. So I can use coerce. The police coerced the suspect. They used coercion. Coercion is a noun. So the example, the police used coercion to get the suspect to sign the confession. Again, the police used coercion to get the suspect to sign the confession. Let's practice. Did the police use coercion to get the suspect to sign the confession? That's right. The police used coercion to get the suspect to sign the confession. That's not right. I think it's illegal. So remember these two words, suspicion and coercion. Both spelled with CION at the end, but they're pronounced differently. And if you find any other words that end with CION, please put them in the comments and let me know. I recently made a video about the pronunciation of AU together, and I gave some exceptions to the rule. And I asked the viewers to give me some feedback. I asked if they knew any other words spelled AU with different pronunciations. And I got some great responses, and today we're going to talk about those words. And keep watching to the end of this video to see the original video. First, what's the rule? The rule is AU is normally pronounced with the sound AW, like audio, automobile, and daughter. Make the sound back here. AW, audio, automobile, daughter. That's the rule, but there are several exceptions, so let's talk about those. First, we look at this word. This word is spelled AU, but we don't pronounce it aunt. Some people do in the United States, but the preferred pronunciation, the more common pronunciation, is aunt. That's right, the same as these things. These are aunts. And the sister of your mother, that's your aunt too. They're pronounced exactly the same. Use the short ah sound. Aunt. And when we say the word aunt together with uncle, we always say it in the same order. We say aunt and uncle. We don't say uncle and aunt. We always say aunt and uncle. Example, he's going to visit his aunt and uncle. You hear the word and pronounced aunt and uncle. He's going to visit his aunt and uncle. We also hear the words aunt and linked together, so it sounds like this. Aunt, You just fall to the end. Aunt and uncle. He's going to visit his aunt and uncle. Let's practice. Who's he going to visit? Is he going to visit his aunt and uncle? That's right. He's going to visit his aunt and uncle. Also this word. This word is spelled A-U, but it is not pronounced aw. It is pronounced ah. The short ah sound like black cat. Laugh. The GH makes the F sound. Laugh. Remember the preposition at. Laugh at. Example, they're laughing. The question, what are they laughing at? I put the preposition at the end of this question. What are they laughing at? The answer, they're laughing at the monkeys. They're laughing at the monkeys. They think the monkeys are funny, so they're laughing at the monkeys. Let's practice. What are they laughing at? Are they laughing at the monkeys? That's right, they're laughing at the monkeys. They think they're funny. Now let's look at this word. It's not restaurant, it's restaurant. We don't pronounce it with 3 syllables, we pronounce it with 2 syllables. Restaurant. Restaurant. We put the TR together to make the sound ch, like in truck and tree. Restaurant. Restaurant. The second syllable is an open sound. Restaurant. Restaurant. We don't say restaurant. The T is a stop T at the end. Restaurant. Example, they went to eat at a nice restaurant. Pronunciation, at a nice restaurant. They went to eat at a nice restaurant last night. Did they go eat at a nice restaurant last night? That's right, they went to eat at a nice restaurant last night. We see with the question, I ask, did they go eat at a nice restaurant? I can use go and eat together with no preposition to. Did they go eat at a nice restaurant? But when you answer and you change go to the past, we have to use the preposition. They went to eat at a nice restaurant. I cannot say they went eat. So it's confusing. The question is, did they go eat? And the answer is yes, they went to eat at a nice restaurant. Let's practice. Did they go eat at a nice restaurant last night? That's right. They went to eat at a nice restaurant last night. And we have this country. This country has 3 pronunciations. The best one, or the most common one, is Saudi. Saudi Arabia. Using the sound ow like cow and how. Sao. Saudi Arabia. But some people say Saudi. Saudi Arabia. Using the aw sound like an automobile. And some people make the open sound ah, like hot and stop, and they say Saudi. Saudi Arabia. So 3 pronunciations are used, but the best one is ow. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia is a country in the Middle East. That's what we call this region in English, the Middle East. Saudi Arabia is a country in the Middle East. Let's practice. Is Saudi Arabia a country in the Middle East? That's right. Saudi Arabia is a country in the Middle East. And the last 2 words are these. Beauty and beautiful. They're a little different because it's not just AU, it's EAU, combining to make the sound U, like you. Together, beau, beauty, and beautiful. We see that T in both of these words is pronounced like a fast D. Beauty, beauty, and beautiful. Remember, the second word is not beautiful, it's a short sound. Beautiful. Beauty is a noun, but we can also use it as an adjective. Example, beauty supplies. She likes to buy beauty supplies because she wants to stay beautiful. Let's practice. Why does she buy a lot of beauty supplies? Does she want to stay beautiful? That's right. She buys a lot of beauty supplies because she wants to stay beautiful. So keep watching to practice with more words that are spelled AU but have different pronunciations. Today we're going to learn some very special words with different pronunciation. So let's get started. Today we're looking at the pronunciation of AU. When you see AU together, it makes the sound aw, like the sound in on, off, call, and ball. The sound is aw. Make the sound back here, aw. We see words like audio, audience, daughter. All these words have AU, and the AU is pronounced aw. Let's practice the pronunciation. Audio, audio. Audience, audience. Daughter, daughter. Very good. But is AU always pronounced this way? Well, almost always. I know only 3 words with AU that have different pronunciations. Let's look at these special words. The first word is this word. It's pronounced gauge. That's right, the AU makes a long A sound. Gauge. The long A, like in day, and say and pay. Gauge. The first G is a hard G sound, followed by the long A, gay, and the second G is the J sound, like in juice and jump. Together, gauge. You have one gauge and many gauges. These are gauges. You have gauges on your car, and you need to check your gauges while you're driving. It's important to check the gauges. And what's the most important gauge? Well, I think the most important gauge is the speedometer. Pronunciation, speedometer. The most important gauge, for me, is the speedometer because you're always checking the speedometer. You're always checking to see how fast you're going. You check the speedometer to see how fast you're going. That's the most important gauge. Let's practice. Do you need to check the gauges while you're driving? That's right, you need to check the gauges while you're driving. And what's the most important gauge? That's right, the speedometer is the most important gauge. Let's talk about different gauges. You also have this gauge. This is the temperature gauge. Pronunciation, tempera. Not temperature, but temperature. The TU makes a ch sound like chicken. Temperature. Remember, it's 3 syllables. Temperature. Not temperature, not 4 syllables, but 3. Temperature. This is the temperature gauge. This is the temperature gauge. And it's very important. It lets you know the temperature of your engine. It lets you know if your engine gets too hot. Because if it gets too hot, you can damage your engine. So the temperature gauge is very important. So you need to check the temperature gauge to make sure your engine doesn't get too hot. Let's practice. Why do you need to check the temperature gauge? That's right, you need to check the temperature gauge to make sure your engine doesn't get too hot. And this is called your fuel gauge. The fuel gauge lets you know how much gas you have, or how much diesel fuel you have, depending on your engine. I don't have a diesel, so I check the fuel gauge to see how much gas I have. You can also call it a gas gauge. So you check your fuel gauge to see how much gas you have. Let's practice. Why do you check your fuel gauge? That's right, you check your fuel gauge to see how much gas you have. And this gauge has 2 names. You can call it a tachometer, or you can call it the RPM gauge. Let's call it a tachometer. With the word tachometer, the CH makes a K sound. K, tach, tachometer. You check the tachometer to check your RPM. RPM stands for revolutions per minute. It's how fast your engine is turning. When you push the gas, the tachometer goes up. That's how fast your engine is turning. Again, RPM, revolutions per minute. The tachometer is important if you drive a standard. You need to check the tachometer if you're driving a standard. It's very important. Let's practice. Do you need to check the tachometer if you're driving a standard? That's right, you need to check the tachometer if you're driving a standard. It's very important because you need to know when to change gears. So remember the 4 important gauges in your car. You have the speedometer, that's the most important gauge. You have the temperature gauge, that lets you know the temperature of your engine. You also have the fuel gauge, that lets you know how much gas you have, or diesel fuel, depending on your car. And don't forget the tachometer, or the RPM gauge. That lets you know how fast the engine is turning. And remember the pronunciation, gauge. Use the long A sound. 1 gauge and 2 gauges. Make sure you check your gauges.
So I gripped the wheel tighter, checked my gauges, and made my move.
Every single gauge is broken.
The gauge is starting to move. Look, Kate!
I don't know. The auxiliary power's out, so the gauges don't work.
And keep an eye on that number 3 engine gauge over there.
You watch these gauges?
Well, my gauges must be wrong.
Now let's look at this word. This is not an English word, so we pronounce it differently. We pronounce the AU like ow, like in words out, now, and how. Again, the sound is ow, so this word is pronounced Audi. It's the name of a car. This is an Audi. We use the article N. This is an Audi. An Audi is a luxury car. I think it's made in Germany. Let's practice. Is an Audi a luxury car? That's right. An Audi is a luxury car. And we have this word, because. The AU is not pronounced aw, like in the word cause. If I have the word cause, I follow the rule, and AU has the sound aw, cause. Don't cause any problems. But the word because is different. The AU is pronounced with a short sound, like cup, cut, and up. Because. Now, you might hear an American say because if they're from New York. If you speak with a heavy New York accent, you might hear Americans say because. But that's only in New York. The rest of America says because. This is the normal pronunciation of the word. Because. Make the relaxed close sound. Because. So these are the only 3 words I know that don't follow the rule. The rule is AU makes a sound aw. Always? Well, almost always, because we have these 3 words. Gauge, Audi, and because. With these 3 words, the AU does not make the aw sound. It makes 3 different sounds. In gauge, it makes a long A. In Audi, it makes a sound ow. And in because, it makes a sound because. And if you know any other words that have AU together and have a different pronunciation, let me know. Put it in the comments. Thank you for watching. And if you like this video, subscribe to our channel. And if you want to become a member, click the join button. And we'll see you next time.